Hello, Fred. Are you still here? Check, check. I was seriously about to move the time back another couple of minutes. And then I was like, no, Fred's here. I'm not going to make him wait if he's still here. But I do need to adjust the fan real quick. One sec. I think that'll be better. So, how's it going? Let me make sure that my earrings match. Sometimes I'm like so frenetic as I'm getting ready. Then I notice later I have on unmatching earrings. Not that it matters. And I could always say, yeah, I did that on purpose, right? Like the cat that falls off the fence and then is like, yeah, I was totally doing that intentionally. That's kind of what our president reminds me of. Let me just go through all my stuff. Tell me if you can hear me all right and if the lighting is okay. I am really frustrated with my lighting, and you don't want to overdo it, you don't want to underdo it. That side I think is fine. It's this side that is a little not so good. Now, I'll wait until I hear back from you. I'm not going to touch nothing. I'm not allowed to touch anything on my set. That's kind of the rule that I try to live by. But since I've moved, I'm still trying to tweak it and make it work well. I really just don't think that the lighting's been working well since the move. It's maybe because it's a bigger space. I mean, the ambient light does so many strange things. Anyway, everything I say is my opinion and my opinion only. I'm hoping to try to open up a good conversation with you guys and learn something and be educational for others as well. All my vids are made for YouTube. It's an infotainment platform. Please hit the cool, creepy statue wall hanging thumb. I showed you guys how it's supposed to go on the wall and then you like hang your jacket on it or something. But I use it to remind us all to hit that like button. And then make sure you're still subscribed in the event that you are subscribed. And if you're not, please consider doing so. Share a video of mine with somebody that you think might like this channel. Turn on your notification bell to ring. I had to put the puppy dog right here up a little bit higher because the little one keeps stealing it. And I've got 2 out of the 3 dogs in here. And let's just go. Let's start talking. I have like a million things to talk about. Are you here, Fred? It looks like there's a couple of people here. Anna B says she can't be here. And the first one to comment was Mrs. Amir. And so I was really excited to get some information to her. You are here. How are you? It's Sunday. It is 4:45 my time. So 3:45 your time. What's going on in Chicago? Like, so many explosions and fires and floods. It's just surreal. Oh, and then there was the car that plowed into 30 people, also in Los Angeles. I think that was the night before last. So I think I woke up to that news yesterday. So I didn't do a video yesterday, so I haven't talked with you guys since that one occurred. I don't think there were any fatalities, but there were like 30 people injured. It was about 2 a.m. and a guy just rammed his car into a crowd of people. Again, is it just that we're hearing about these things more? Is it that the world is going more crazy? Or is it that these are chaos agents? It's a question, not an accusation. So then there was like what was it? Like an Indonesian ferry that caught on fire or something like that. I didn't even look into that one. It's really crazy trying to keep up. And there's like a million things I want to try to touch base with you guys about today. So, one of the things that I haven't really mentioned, and I just want to get this out there in the ether at the very beginning because it should be like the foundation of every discussion. I actually had a really good friend whose sister was QAnon, like hardcore QAnon. And she was amazing. She was the smartest, most likable, sweetest, most interesting person. Like, I loved her. And she was trying to win me over into this QAnon corner. And the thing that she thought would win me, and the thing that she said won her, and so I'm sharing it with you because I think it's the thing that wins a lot of these QAnon people, is that she was completely convinced that nobody in the elite, none of the politicians, none of the people in the entertainment industry, none of them gave a flying F about children being hurt, trafficked, assaulted, that kind of thing. Excuse me while I scratch my nose. And she really believed that Donnie was the only one who cared, and that he had some kind of magic wand where he was going to fix it. He was going to stop all trafficking around the world in the blink of an eye. Mind you, this is like 5 years ago. So this is already like towards the end of his first term. So, I think her rationale of why he hadn't done it yet was because, he had to get the stars in alignment before he could like wave his magic wand. So he was working on it. And, I'm glad she shared that with me, because had she not, I would have no idea about that. So I'm sharing it with you guys, hoping to shine some light if maybe you didn't know already, or even if you did know about that element of it, that it can inspire some interesting conversation. Fred says, I think much is that we get breaking news consistently or constantly. Yes, absolutely. It's too much, isn't it? They're literally flooding the zone, literally. So, with all this little e news and old news that's resurfacing, and with Donnie Toodles not able to discontinue the conversation about it, like when he threatened everybody in one of his long, rambly truth socials, and he was like, don't ever mention that name again, but he mentioned it 6 times in the post. Like, okay, that's very smart. Again, that's the 12-dimensional chess that the stable genius is always playing, right? Hard at work. Okay, so some really disgusting material has been resurfacing. Some of it I had come across in recent months of doing a ton of digging. Some of it, a little bit of it here and there, is like brand new to me. My hat, my strap is a little too tight. It's gonna like squeeze my brain. And I don't need my brain squoze any more than it's already in a vice grip, right? Sorry if that, what do you call that stuff? Dang, just can't get it right. The Velcro. So annoying. See, I usually don't wear hats with the Velcro. I usually have the ones with the little tiny buckle because the Velcro bothers me. But I thought this one's going to be fine, and now it's not. Everything must fight against me. Again, if that is my biggest problem, I'm so lucky, aren't I? How about you, Fred? What's your biggest problem? And how's your legs doing? Are you working tonight? I've got so many questions. I'm just drilling you, huh? We have ways of making you tell. And where's my bright light to shine in your eyes? So, yeah, speaking of we have ways of making you tell, let's talk about that for a second. The whole like KGB thing, nobody was ever part of any KGB thing in this storyline that I know of. It was Ivana, whose father was part of, I have it written down because I can never remember these simple letters. It was like an S. Where was it? I have way too many notes. STB. So that's Ivana's father was an agent for the Czechoslovakian state security. His name is interesting too. His name is Milo Zelnicek. Zelnicek, I think. Milo Zelnicek. But I just thought interesting. It's very close to Zelensky, in my opinion. So that's Donnie's first wife, Ivana. Her dad was the equivalent of KGB, but it's called STB. It's the Czechoslovakian State Security. So the word on the internet is that Donnie Toodles had been kind of recruited from around 1987, which I believe, again, I should look at my notes because I was going to say, I believe that's around the same time that he married her, but I am probably way off. They were married for 13 years. Let's see. Donald Trump married to Ivana. Okay. Yeah, 10 years prior to that. I'm so glad I looked. I thought that the marriage ended in 1990, so I was like, that can't be right. All right, 1997, April 1990s. Can't read, can't speak. April 1977. Okay. Brain, mouth, please work, connect. Okay. Okay. April 1977 until December 11th, 1990 is when they were married. So it was about 87 that he was allegedly recruited, specifically encouraged to get involved in politics. And Fred says, I work Tuesday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. That is so early. Is that your preference for that insanely early shift? I could hardly walk out of work Saturday. Ankle pain, mostly in leg, not done yet. Still not sure when, if I will do second leg. Oh man, I am so sorry to hear that. That bites. That is just so crazy. Like, you probably don't have medical leave. I don't know. That is so harsh, Fred. That is super harsh. So I hope that you're keeping your feet up a lot when you're not at work. I mean, keeping your feet up is super important for everybody all the time, no matter what age and what type of health or condition your health is in. It's just a really smart thing to do. Especially if you're pregnant. It's like, don't stand if you can sit. Don't sit if you can sit with your feet up, and don't sit with your feet up if you can lay down. Like, that's kind of a mantra for when you're pregnant, but I would say that that's probably a good mantra for all the time, especially when you're recovering from something like that, Fred. I don't know. I mean, you've been around for a while. What works for you? Do you have some hot tips that you can share with the rest of us? But I'm praying for you. And thank you for being here. So let's see. This is going to be a lot of criticism about El Presidente in case, in case one was unawares. That's what this video is. Because that's just where I'm at. I think that's where everybody should be at, but that's just my opinion. To each their own. Also, just the state of our country. I mean, I would talk more about the state of the world if I had more worldly knowledge, but honestly, I don't. I've not been interested in world politics until real recently with all this bull crap going on. But I'm still more focused in my own country because I am just extremely patriotic, born and raised in the DC area, military in my family. My whole life I've had military in my family, and I haven't really traveled outside of our country. I mean, I've been to Mexico once and Canada once, Other than that, I've been to most of the states across our country, and I just love our country. I love freedom of speech. I love the motto of New Hampshire, live free or die. I I just think that our country is far from perfect, but I think that there's a lot of good in the USA, and that's why, I mean, we've got such a strong economy, and we've had so many people trying to immigrate here ever since the land was settled. Anyway, I'll get off that little soapbox. So I do want to talk about a lot of the tragedies and crises, continuing that conversation with like the Texas floods and the victims and the other floods and the fires and the explosions, that bomb squad thing in Los Angeles. Was that Friday morning? I don't think that was yesterday morning, but yes, Fred, to go back to your comment from a few minutes ago, it is so much breaking news. It is literally impossible to keep up with. And then, I do try. You know how I am. I am struggling to get 1,000 hours for the year to get a probable $2,000 profit sharing check. When I worked in vending, we started at 4:30 a.m. Even at Menards, we used to start at 5 a.m. Wow. So yeah, 1,000 hours. I mean, quick math is that there's 2,000 working hours in a year if you're working full time. So that would be like not missing a day working half time, 20 hours a week for 52 weeks. I won't try to do math, not when I'm live. It's hard enough when I'm not live, but when I'm live, the brain just like comes to a screeching halt. That's why I have to look at my notes and yep, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Um, so yeah, that's a lot of hours, sir. That is a lot of hours, but sounds very awesome if you get that $2,000 profit sharing check. Dang. You would think that they would cut a little bit of slack for really good employees that get close, that have medical situations. I mean, they're a big enough company, they can afford it. I mean, I love Menards. They have so much great stuff there, but I'm not so sure about their politics. I'm pretty sure that they're a lot like Chick-fil-A and Hobby Lobby. Am I right, Fred? You probably know. So, I sometimes get caught up in shopping there because they have a lot of good stuff. And then other times I try to avoid it because I'd rather spend my money at a place like Costco that is more diversified. But I'm not sure. That's why I'm asking. I'm not 100% sure about Menards. And like I know Home Depot is like that. They're with like the Hobby Lobby, Chick-fil-A, but Lowe's is not. Lowe's is more like Costco. A lot of these big companies, there was circulation on the internet a few months ago with all of the giant companies that were involved with like the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025. And it was horrifying. Like it seemed like most of the big companies that we're very familiar with were totally on board with Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation. 4 hours a day, 52 weeks. We earn part-time overtime, PTO, but those hours don't count. What? Hey, Sherry. now I'm really confused. 4 hours a day, 52 weeks. We earn PTO. Okay, you earn overtime as a part-time employee. I gotcha. I'm glad that rereading it made my brain function a little bit better. We earn part-time overtime, but those hours don't count. OMG. That's insane that those hours don't count. So you just can't miss work. You have your 2 weeks off and that's it. If you miss another minute, you're screwed when it comes to the profit sharing. That is cray cray. How are you doing today, Sherry? I think Anna B's had to go do family stuff because she said she's picking up her son at the airport. And I'm pretty sure that he is a full grown man, probably a parent himself, too. So she's probably really excited to have her guy visiting. Okay, so Aristotle Onassis, Jackie Onassis. Apparently, all of this Kennedy intertwinedness with Trumpster fire. Somebody just came barging in. Okay, barge back out, baby. Whoa. Oh my God, that was so funny. Coco. So I had Coco and Mookie in here, and then the little rambunctious one, she's body slamming the door again. Come here, baby. She's so excited that she can open it. It's like she's got opposable thumbs. Come here, fluffy one. Come here, Chi. Coco, Chi. Come here, baby. Come here. Oh, and she's soaking wet. She's like a little mop when she goes out back to go potty, and then she is, do you see what a mess she is? She's probably so happy because it was cold outside. Okay, you can go out, baby. You can go out. Come here. Come. All right. I don't think she can break in this time. Oh, that is too funny. Sorry for all of that interruption. Now, where did I put my notebook? Oh, no. I set it down. Stop. Stop with all the interruptions. Okay, I set it down on the floor. Oh my God. I'm not going to answer the door, man. There's too many dogs knocking at the door. This is ridiculous. I apologize for all the chaos, you guys. If it gets really annoying with the scratching, tell me and I'll let them in. But I'm just like, especially with thinking I lost my little notebook, because then I'm totally lost. Okay. Where was I? Onassis, Aristotle Onassis. So apparently, the Onassis family, Aristotle Onassis, helped Trumpster fire finance to build the Trump Tower. Everything gets back to money with this money grubbing Mr. Krabs. Honestly, I think even the crap with little e really gets back to money. From all the research that I've done, that looks like what their falling out was over. It was about money. It was about real estate. Allegedly, Trumpster fire had a huge laundering operation for other countries that we won't mention, Vladdy. Anyway, so when he would buy all these big properties, it was really just a laundering operation. So that whole story about what was it, 2004, where they both were bidding on a like $40 or $50 million property near Mar-a-Lago, and one outbid the other. I'm trying to remember which one outbid who. I think that little E was going to buy it. The story is that he invited little T to look at it because it had a pool that he didn't want, and he wanted it taken out of there, and he thought that little T had good expertise in that or something. And so he invited him to look at it, and then little D put in a bid that was like $10 million higher and bought it basically out from under him. But little E knew that D didn't have that kind of money accessible to him at that point in time. So little E knew for sure, because little E was doing it too. Give me a break. He knew that he was buying it with money that he was trying to clean. And that's when they had their falling out. And the story goes basically that that's when Donnie Toodles or somebody, some mystery man, got on the phone with the authorities and said, hey, you should check out this Jeffrey guy. It looks like he's got all these kids coming and going every day. That's allegedly how the fight started. So it was a money thing. And then, you know, you don't turn in people that have dirt on you. That's just not a good idea, which is why the mobster types always want to have dirt on each other. And it's why people like Sean Combs and Little E, it's why they have their operations. It's why they videotape everybody. It's why they document everything, is so they have dirt on everyone and then they can do whatever they want, because nobody can turn them in for anything. Because if they do, they're going down too. So, Billy, darling, sorry if I squealed. So nice to see you. How are you today? Let's see. Unless I stay over some days to rack up extra hours. The news is crazy, y'all. It is. And, you know, I mean, it's been for months now that every Thursday I start getting really nervous about what all kind of hell is going to break loose over the weekend. Like, I start feeling like I have to grit my teeth come Thursday evening, because Friday is going to roll around and then Saturday and Sunday are just going to be a shite storm, and there's going to be all kinds of bills getting passed through at 3 in the morning, and all kinds of surprise emergency Congress meetings and crap. And yeah, it just feels like every weekend is just a total mind F. And so before this weekend started, I thought, even though he's made of Teflon and has a horseshoe in his rear, even though, I thought, how on earth is he going to make it through this weekend without going down like 4 flat tires, right? And so far, like, he's just sailing through. I mean, he loves the shitstorm. He loves the chaos. It's what he thrives on. But how much of the news are his chaos agents creating, Billy darling? Like, you know, those 3 deputies that got blown up in Los Angeles the day before yesterday at 7:30 in the morning, and then same night, basically. So I woke up Saturday morning to learn about the 30 people that were injured when the car rammed into the crowd of people as they were leaving the bar at 2 a.m. And I think that was Los Angeles also, at least Los Angeles area. And then today there was something about a ferry that was on fire or something, Indonesia. And I was just like, I just can't. Again, first of all, it's like, if it's out of the country, I guess I just have to have some boundaries. You know, there's just so much going on in our country. And I'm not saying that that's healthy. I think it's good to pay attention to everything. But yeah, it's just overstimulation. And then you get numb and you can't take it in and you can't track it. And you're just like, oh, well, it's just normal for everything to be completely out of control and off the rails, and cities to be flooding, and deputies to be making fatal errors and having a mass casualty event. That's so not normal. No, that's not normal at all. I'm very, very suspicious of all of this crap, just day after day after day. Like, on New Year's Day, with the white pickup truck that rammed into the crowd of people in New Orleans right after midnight, and then 7 or 8 in the morning in Vegas, you had the SWAT car blowed up in front of the Trumpster Fire Tower. And then what? Nothing about that? Like, to me, the instant that happened, it was obviously a message about the big E and the little T. I mean, how could it not be? And then all that Fox News would talk about all day for 2 weeks was how he was a Trump supporter and he had no animosity against Trump. It's like, if you said it once, I might believe you. But the fact that you say it like 12 times every time you open your mouth, obviously you're lying, because It just doesn't even make sense. Like, why would the man drive from another state to blow up a swastika car in front of the Trumpster Fire Tower on New Year's Day before the inauguration if he was a Trump supporter? F that, man. So nothing about those incidences. And, again, I don't always pay attention to the world news, but the Red Sea with all of the Navy, the carrier ship and the fighter jets going into the water, there was like the two that fell off the carrier ship. But prior to that, the carrier ship had gotten into like a little fender bender with like a China shipment ship or something. Brain. And then there was a fourth thing. So I think December was when the carrier ship, and it's all the same carrier ship in the Red Sea. I think it was December when the fender bender thing happened. It was huge, kind of downplaying it. And then wasn't it like somewhere around January and February that the fighter jets basically fell into the drink? Whoops, there goes another one. And then there was a third thing with the fighter jet, but it made a fourth thing total. I can't even keep up. I gotta hit refresh, right? He got the congestive heart failure. Looks like, yeah, Billy darling. And that's been going on for a long time. And it seemed to me that the timing of Caroline with the KKK coming out in hopes of transparency or in efforts of transparency or however she said it, the timing was sus AF. It was like, you're just trying to distract from the damn little e-files. Like, you'll take anything to distract from the little e-files. Like, give it up. Just surrender, mofo. The problem is with him is he will never, ever, ever give up. He's like the guy who doesn't give up. He's like the non-giving up guy. And, I tend to be that way too, and it's good in theory, but I like that Michelle Shocked lyrics. The secret to a long life is knowing when it's time to go. Seriously. It's good to keep pressing forward and to not let the turkeys get you down and just keep your nose on the grindstone and just keep fighting for what's right. But the secret to a long life is knowing when it's time to get the F out of Dodge, right? And if he was smart, he would just step away. But he's not smart. If he was smart, if he cared about anybody but himself, he would just step away and let JD Couch Humper take over to save the country from the libs, And the prospect of JD Couch Lover coming into the driver's seat is even potentially more frightening than the crazy mofo who's in the driver's seat, in my opinion. So before I read the rest of the comments, can I insert this crazy thing? I might have said it once, but I don't even know if I have. Do you guys remember when people were criticized, people in the Republican Party, the racist ones? I'm sorry. Is that like a oxymoron? It doesn't need to be. Anyway, they were criticizing his wife. Is her name Usha Vance? And they were criticizing her being from India. And a couple of things that he said that were so insanely stupid. First off, he denied that his kids were mixed race, which maybe he doesn't know the definition of mixed race. I don't know. Maybe there was a surrogate involved. I don't know. They look like they're half India from India and half Caucasian. I mean, they're beautiful. Like, what's wrong with that? But to deny is really effed up. And then in defense, if you can call it that, in defense of his wife, he put up some posts that said, come on, people, Usha's a great person. She can't help it if she's from India. I'm just like, you did not say that. Like, he's supposed to be smart, right? He like went to Yale and has a law degree and went to OSU. Man, why does Ohio have to be the epicenter of all this bull crap? With Leslie and little E and all their money at OSU, and then the sports and the mass violations and cover-ups at OSU. Like, as bad as Larry Nassar, if not worse. As bad as the Catholic Church, if not worse. Like, why? Just, like, deal with it, man. People's lives get destroyed. And sometimes they're in such severe denial, they don't even realize that their life is destroyed, and they don't even realize what happened to them 20, 30 years ago. And then they hear about all this stuff in the news, and, the Me Too movement, or the people that are in Congress that were involved at the OSU cover-up. Is that Jim Jordan? And then all of a sudden they get triggered, and they're 50, they're married with kids, their life is all normal, and all of a sudden they realize that they were assaulted routinely at college, and that they just always saw it as normal and never identified it until right now in this moment. And then, like, that's the bottom falling out. That's what you call free falling. Anyway, I'm going to keep up with your comments. Hello, Billy. How long? No, long time no see. Fred says, I think it was a ferry tipped over in a storm and cruise ship had a fire. See, again, Fred, like, what are the chances of both of these happening same day? Thank you for the clarification. But to me, it's just too much all at once. It's like every day, especially right now over the weekend. The thing with the 3 deputies in Los Angeles, like, right away, I was like, this doesn't sound plausible. And then the more I heard about the story, so this is the story as far as I know, what I've heard about the Los Angeles 3 deputies, that they actually passed away naturally, accidental, self-induced misadventure. No joke. Okay. Where's that vice grip? I need to stick my head in it. That's the story that they're trying to sell. So the story is that some woman in Santa Monica lives in a giant apartment building. She went down to her storage area to get something. She hadn't lived there that long. 3 grenades rolled out of her storage area, and then she called the authorities, and apparently the person who had the storage facility that lived in the apartment building before her was ex-military, so they were his old grenades. So the authorities came and took the grenades, and then the next morning, 7:30, they were detonating them safely, the way they do with that type of material. And 3 of them passed away instantaneously, and 1 of them was critically injured. I think that that one is going to recover. It doesn't smell right. Nothing about the story smells right. The 3 grenades rolling out of the storage unit, yeah, that's highly unlikely. And then these expert professionals doing what they do routinely, screwing up so royally that they accidentally, naturally, self-induce misadventure themselves to the other side. It's really hard to buy. I mean, sure, things happen, accidents happen, people make mistakes. But again, the timing is always your most crucial piece of evidence in every investigation. It's all about the timing. Thus, that cliche, timing is everything. And if there is something behind it that's not just accidental, natural, self-induced misadventure, people need to be prosecuted. People need to be discovered and held accountable. So, in all the discussion about little E getting Epsteined in his cell, if he didn't Epstein himself and somebody else did, how on earth would they have gotten away with that undetected? It would have to be a very extravagant symphony of cooperation amongst some very, very high level figures. So you look at who the president was at the time, 2019. You look at who the attorney general was at the time, 2019, and who his dad was and who his daddy was in relationship to getting little E on this trajectory that his career in life went down. And then there's another character. So those two I've been suspicious of for a long time. For a long time, honestly, I thought that little E faked it and that he was escaped and got his freedom. But my opinion now is that he was Epsteined and that he didn't Epstein himself. So another person who I think was very likely involved, and I've just heard this the last couple of days, Steve Bannon, was apparently doing like a deep dive type of reputation rehabilitation with little E, meaning that he was meeting with him and going over every freaking detail of his life and troubleshooting and problem solving how to get out of this mess without looking like the scum of the earth that you are. Meaning that he would have full access to this guy in prison. Full access. So you got Barr, you got Bannon, you got Donnie Toodles. I don't think you'd need a lot of other people because everyone else would just have to basically stay out of the way. And anybody else that you got involved, you might have to off them at some point in time, right? That's how those things go. They know too much. Oh, let's just come back out of the rabbit hole. Agree with you, Jazz, Sherry. Oh, man. I wish I was just dead wrong. I wish I was just dead wrong. So those puppy dogs scratching at the door keep distracting me. But let me just let's talk about Kaczynski for a minute. Why is it that our El Presidente is so obsessed with Ted Kaczynski? And who's the other guy? Hannibal Lecter? He loves talking about those guys. Loves it. Hannibal Lecter. I think he believes that that's a real person. That, is not just a character in Silence of the Lambs. And yeah, the character is based on a real person, but I think he believes that the actor that plays Hannibal Lecter, who is it? Anthony Hopkins. that I think he believes that Anthony Hopkins is Hannibal Lecter, and that movie is like a documentary, and he's playing himself. I mean, anyway, then you've got the thing with Ted Kaczynski and the Unabomber. So one of the things I've found out over the last couple of days is that little E would tell people that he took math classes from Kaczynski at UCLA, which is a lie. Straight up lie. Little E might have taken some classes at UCLA, but I think he got most of his education in New York, where he was from. And he didn't finish. He dropped out. But because, yeah, he went to like some fancy institute of math in New York City, like, you know, some highfalutin math thing for math geniuses. Kaczynski was a math genius, but he taught at UC Berkeley, and only for 2 years. But little E had this thing, and I want to jump tracks really quick, even if I seem schizophrenic, because I think it was Steve Bannon. It might have been Barr. One of them, I think it was one of them that wrote a thing for little E's 50th birthday storybook card, you know, the one that they've been talking about for the last couple of days with the drawing that Donnie wrote, right? That thing. And if anybody knows which one it was, Barr or Bannon. So they said something, what they wrote, I think it was Bannon, that they said something alluding to like the Hillside Strangler, and like, how do we know that you're not the Hillside Strangler or something like that? Did you catch that? Let me see what artificial intelligence has to say about it. And if you guys know anything, please share. Jeffrey Epstein's birthday card about the Hillside Strangler. Okay. Or was that Les Wexner? Okay, I'm just going to read what it says. AI overview. In the wake of recent reports, there is no widely known information linking Jeffrey Epstein's birthday cards to the Hillside Strangler case. Recent news reports, including an article published by the Wall Street Journal, have focused on a birthday book assembled for Epstein's 50th birthday in 2003 by Ghislaine Maxwell. Oh, man. Good thing that they hadn't had their falling out yet in 2004. We wouldn't have that drawing that Donnie definitely didn't write. This book reportedly contained birthday wishes and massages. There's a Freudian slip. Messages from various associations of Epstein, including a letter attributed to Donald Trump. The letter attributed to Trump, as described in the Wall Street Journal article, was reportedly accompanied by a drawing of a naked woman and concluded with the line, "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." Trump has denied writing the letter or drawing the picture or writing the picture, claiming it was fake and threatening legal action against the newspaper. Separately, Les Wexner, a prominent Ohio businessman who had past financial dealings with Epstein, also reported to have included a suggestive drawing in the birthday album. The Hillside Strangler refers to the crimes committed by Kenneth Bianchi and Angelo Buono Jr. in the late 1970s in Los Angeles, California. The two men were convicted of kidnapping, raping, torturing, and red rumming young women and disposing of their bodies on the hillsides across the city. It is important to emphasize that based on the current available information, there's no credible connection between Jeffrey Epstein's birthday card collection and the Hillside Strangler case. But one of the people, maybe it was Leslie Wexner. Why are they mentioning him? What did Leslie Wexner write in Epstein's 50th birthday book? Let's see. What say you? No new comments. Am I still on? Wouldn't surprise me if I got cut off. Um, yeah, I guess it was Leslie. So what AI says, I'm so glad I looked it up. It says Leslie Wexner's entry in Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday book reportedly contained a brief message. I wanted to get you what you want, so here it is. This message was accompanied by a drawing of breasts. Wexner has said that he ended his relationship with Epstein in 2007 and has not commented on the matter recently. So, yeah, I'll look more into that later. Okay. Back to my notes. It is just unbelievable. So, Kaczynski, Trumpster Fire, said that his genius uncle, who had degrees in, how did he say it? Did he say chemistry? No. It started with nuclear chemistry and math. And I thought he should have said that he had degrees in nuclear chemistry and numbers. That would have been more smarter. Anyway, he didn't. He had a degree in some type of engineering that was none of those things. I mean, engineering is math, right? I mean, come on. What was the degree in? But he was deceased way before Kaczynski was even caught. Let's see what this says. What type of professor was John Trump at MIT? Electrical engineering. Distinguished figure in the high voltage engineering and its applications. And let's see, he was there for 47 years, not 51, but math, fuzzy math. That's what I like to say. Because he started as a research associate in 1933, assistant professor of electrical engineering in 1936, professor until 1973. So that would be how many years? 40, 37, something like that. Yeah, I think that's 37 years, from 1936 until 73. Professor and lecturer, professor emeritus and lecturer 80 to 85, director high voltage research lab from 1952 to 1980. So 28 years he was the director of the high voltage research lab. And I'll just read this real quick. It's just a paragraph. Trump's research focused on areas like high voltage phenomena, electron acceleration, and the interaction of radiation with matter. He made significant contributions to the development of high voltage electrostatic generators and X-ray generators used for cancer therapy. During World War II, he played a crucial role in radar development for the Allied forces, serving in leadership positions at the U.S. Government Radar Research Laboratory, the Radiation Laboratory at MIT, and as director of its British branch. He co-founded the High Voltage Engineering Corporation after the war to maneuver generators used in various fields, including nuclear research and medicine. Okay, so yeah. It's just interesting that he has his facts all jumbled in his brain, and that's okay. I'm going to give him a pass on having the facts all jumbled in his brain. So basically, the guy was a math whiz. He worked with nuclear stuff, and he definitely knew something about chemical, right? He had a degree in nuclear, chemical, and numbers. So the thing is if you get your facts jumbled and you're like publicly speaking, you just put out a Truth Social memo, or you have Caroline with a KKK make a statement, or you make a statement and say, when I was talking about that the other day, I was in error. I was misremembering, and sorry, but this is what's more accurate. It's like, yeah, everyone's human. Like, that's understandable. But for him to be like, Sir talks out of his rear end, means that everything that comes out of his mouth is probably not true, in my opinion. Test message. Oh, Fred, were you having trouble? Is that the problem, that nobody can post their comments? Because I think I'm still on, but it wouldn't surprise me in the least if I'm being censored, because I think everything is being censored a lot right now, in particular. In the last week, I think it's really been blowed up, not to cross-pollinate my metaphors. So yeah, I see your test message. I'm going to highlight your test message. And yeah, that would make sense, because yeah, you guys are usually so chatty, and nobody made a comment for what, like 25 minutes almost? No, I can't do math. Sherry's message was well under 20 minutes ago, like 15 minutes ago. If I could do math, I could figure that out. 13 minutes, right? I mean, from 5:25 until 5:38. But yeah, 13 minutes, that's a big gap. And then for you to say test message makes me thinks that maybe somebody doesn't want my genius viewers to be able to comment because it's too dangerous. Together, we think too much, right? And all this time, it had reverted itself back to top chat, even though I had already put it on live chat right at the beginning. It reverted itself back. So beware. Check your chat to make sure it's a live chat and not at top chat. And let me make sure that I'm still on, because it just seems like, I don't know, am I buffering? So yeah, another one of these funny things, like funny not funny, is this Jerome Powell guy that Trumpster Fire has had a hard on for. Excuse me for saying that, but totally Soprano style. So Jerome Powell is the Federal Reserve guy, right? And Trumpster Fire appointed him back in like 2019, I think, maybe even before that, maybe 2017. He's the chair of the Federal Reserve, okay? And then Donnie's been putting a lot of pressure on him lately to like bring down the interest level on loans. So I think to boost the economy, or to either make himself look good or to do favors for him, basically. And Jerome Powell is like, I can't do that. That's cray cray. It's not in the cards. So Donnie's been criticizing him and criticizing Biden for appointing him. So I think that Biden just kept him. He might have like confirmed him just as a reappointment, but he had already been confirmed and appointed by Donnie himself in his first administration. But Donnie keeps insulting Biden's intelligence for assigning him and appointing him. And I guess technically you could argue that Biden did assign him and confirm him, kind of, but he only just kept him in the position that dear Donnie, dear leader, had already put him in, that chairman of the Federal Reserve. So Donnie keeps threatening to fire him, is totally illegal and not possible for him to fire him. Although the way Donnie rolls, nothing stops him. So we'll see what happens with that. But I think it is funny how he keeps talking about how stupid Biden is for appointing this guy in the first place when he's the idiot that appointed him in the first place. So, let's see what else I got in here. I'm really curious how much there is, and I'm learning more about it. I can't really speak to it too much yet, but maybe some of you are already learning about this, that there's some cross-pollination with MLK. I can be specific about that. JFK and little e. So with Martin Luther King, his attorney is someone that Kirby Summers knows because he was the attorney for her abuser. So Kirby Summers is one of E's traffic victims who has her own YouTube channel, and she publishes books and she speaks on other podcasters' channels, like Sean Atwood, I think is probably where I came across her. And I think it was in Sean Atwood's most recent panel that she was on, maybe yesterday. I'll put a link to it in the description. But she saw a photograph of Martin Luther King with this attorney that she recognized because he was the attorney for her abuser. So at least there's some type of thread connecting Jeffrey to MLK through that one attorney. At least there's that we know of. And Kirby Summers says it's not documented anywhere. And if she didn't know what this guy looked like, and if she hadn't seen this photograph, she wouldn't have ever made this connection either. So I thought that was extraordinarily interesting. So that's MLK. The situation with JFK, again, there's the whole thing with the Onassis money and the Trump Tower. But then there's also a yacht that Donnie purchased from the Khashoggi family. Remember Khashoggi? Remember that guy? I think, let me see what artificial intelligence says, because I'm really vague on it. It's something like Donnie purchased or sold the yacht to or from the Khashoggi family, but it had previously been owned by the Aristotle and Nassis's family or something like that. Let me see what say you, artificial intelligence. Yacht Donald Trump purchased from Khashoggi family, Aristotle Onassis family. Let's see what artificial intelligence says. Are you ready? Because who's running the AI, right? First artificial intelligence overview has this sentence: no, Donald Trump did not purchase a yacht from the Khashoggi family or the Aristotle Onassis family, but Khashoggi is spelled all wrong, Kisugi. So I'll retype it in there and see what else comes up. But first, I'm going to go on to read you what it says next, which is hilarious. Donald Trump purchased his yacht, the Trump Princess, originally named the Nabila, from the Sultan of Brunei in 1988. The yacht was originally built for Saudi billionaire Adnan Khashoggi, who ran into financial difficulties and sold it to the Sultan of Brunei. Trump later sold the yacht to the Saudi Prince Al Waleed bin Talal, who renamed it Kingdom 5KR. Aristotle Onassis owned a yacht called the Christine O. This yacht is famous for hosting many influential figures and was later acquired and refitted by a friend of the Onassis family. So now I'm going to let I'm going to run it through AI again with I'm not even sure how you spell Khashoggi. Let's see if it knows. Yeah, it does. So I think it has a little bit more information here. So let me read this. Even though some of it's repetitive, it's short. Donald Trump purchased the super yacht Nabila from the Khashoggi family, not the Onassis family. The yacht, originally owned by Saudi arms dealer Adnan Khashoggi. Okay, Saudi arms dealer. That's interesting. I didn't realize that that's where they got all their money, their family money. So Khashoggi, in case anyone is not quite connecting it, he was the journalist for the Washington Post that was dismembered in the I'll have to look it up. I don't want to get it wrong, but it was let me finish this first. I want to say it was like was it Israeli Jerusalem? Was it in Jerusalem? Anyway, I'm gonna finish this and then look that up. The yacht, originally owned by a Saudi arms dealer, Khashoggi, named after his daughter Nabila, was seized by the Sultan of Brunei after Khashoggi defaulted on a loan. The Sultan then sold the yacht to Trump in 87 or 88. And interesting that Donald Trump was the president when the Khashoggi's son was red-rummed in the Istanbul, right? Did I say Istanbul? I think I said Jerusalem. Anyway, Trump renamed the yacht Trump Princess and used it for several years before selling it to the 1991 to Saudi Prince Al-Weed bin Talal. The prince renamed the yacht Kingdom 5KR, which is its current name. Blah, blah, blah. Separately, the yacht Christina O, once owned by Greek shipping magnate Aristotle Onassis, is currently listed for sale with an asking price of 90 million euros. So, let's just look up Khashoggi's murder from the Washington Post investigative journalist. Jamal Khashoggi. I always forget his first name. So Wikipedia, we'll just read you this. The Saudi consulate in Istanbul, Turkey. Yeah, I think that was one of those that I said. Anyway, not funny. On October 2nd, 2018, Jamal Khashoggi, a Saudi descent journalist, was unalived by agents of the Saudi government at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, Turkey. Khashoggi was ambushed and strangled by a 15-member squad of Saudi operatives. His body was dismembered and disposed of in some way that was never publicly revealed. The consulate had been secretly bugged by the Turkish government, and Khashoggi's final moments were captured in audio recordings, transcripts of which were subsequently made public. The only reason they know anything is because his fiance was waiting in the car for him when he ran in there to do whatever he was doing. So it was the Istanbul consulate. Laters, I have a few things to do before the news. Watch your BP Jazz. Watch my BP. Help me out, Fred. What do you mean? I'm going to let the puppy in. It's bugging me that she keeps scratching. Okay, Coco. Just Coco, because she's the only one that's not completely insane. Oh, Coco, come here, baby. You want to come over here? Come here, honey. Can you come this way? Come here, honey. Can you come back here? There you go. Aww. Blood pressure. Oh, watch my blood pressure. Thank you, Fred. I was like totally drawing a blank. Do you think I have issues with my blood pressure? I don't think I do. I do see the doctor this week, and we'll see. I'll ask her. I was going to get a checkup on my vertigo stuff. It's been pretty good. It's been under control. Can you see my mug? It's really cute. It's got this like weird Christmas leaf elf thing. Anyway, I love it. It reminds me of my mom. And when I poured my coffee into it, I was like, was this my mom's, or does it just remind me of her because it's something that she would like? I'm not even sure. Anyway, more notes. I tried to watch this Netflix movie called The World's Most Wanted to learn about this guy named Mogilevich, Mogilevich. And this documentary was made in 2020. Did I already say it was from Netflix? So it was just like a mini series. I think they had like 4 or 5 episodes, and it was like the third or the fourth one. And I watched most of it, but it was just kind of not really sinking in. So maybe I'll have to watch it again. I think it was recommended by Kirby Summers in that interview that she did with Sean Atwood over the weekend. And that was to get more of a backstory for how all of this stuff fits together. It does really have a solid grounding in reality, in my opinion. However, it is very easy to feel like you're just jumping down another rabbit hole. So I forewarn you, if you were going to look into it, the world's most wanted. So I'll try to put a link to that in the description too. But this is crazy times when Tucker Carlson, Laura Loomer, and Megyn Kelly are all making sense. They're all going against Dear Donnie, and he's like, F you, I didn't need you anyway, right? Megyn Kelly has like backpedaled though. She's like, oh, those things I said the other day, I take it all back. I was talking crazy talk. She's so effing spineless. But this is how these people make their money. So to them, money is more important than truth. Money is more important than people. Money is more important than national security, in my opinion, if they're going to sell themselves out. So Tucker Carlson, Laura Loomer, Alex Jones, they all seem like they've jumped ship, but we'll see, because they're not going to keep their money rolling in if they don't start licking boot again, right? And I spoke about the betrayal and how, or maybe I didn't, like the thing I was talking about earlier with the QAnon and like the core of MAGA really believing that Donnie has this big heart and that he just wants to save the kids. Like that's really how they see him, from what I understand, is like they just think he's this big-hearted, warm, fuzzy grandpa, right? That just wants to protect the children from all the evil Democrats that are eating babies. I mean, come on. Sure. Like, yeah, in that Titanic crap, that kind of stuff does happen. I wouldn't go so far as to attribute a political party to that whole nightmare of a fiasco. And if I were going to designate it one or the other, but I wouldn't, because I know that there's both. I know that. Um, but, there's plenty of Republicans dealing in that kind of insane, greedy, disgusting, Titanic crap. But it's the betrayal that these people that have been, 3-time Trumpers in the elections, the betrayal that they feel with him doing his 180 with the little e-files. So he's tried to reverse that. He's tried to do a 180 on his 180 and say, no, go ahead and release them. But then he's like really specific, like just what Bondi believes from the from like this section of the grand jury, which she thinks is relevant. Yeah, she can share that. Just those things. But it's like, it's just a very narrow window, and it's still Bondi's discretion, as if we can trust anything Bondi. Has she been fired yet? It kind of looked like she was getting there. But, I'm sure it's all just a big misunderstanding, right? Just like Hegseth and his freezing the, what was it? Aid to Ukraine twice. And Donnie says he didn't know. Hegseth forgot to include him in that signal chat. Just a big misunderstanding, which is pretty much what every violation essay is made out to be by the perpetrators in the end. So there was a story that Ivana reported, and that she also wrote about in her book, when she had been separated from Donnie for 16 months. They were getting their divorce, so this would be like 1990, and he assaulted her in that most intimate way, violently, tore her hair out, and everything about the experience was terrifying, and he knew it. And then she later retracted her statement and said, that's not what I meant. I just meant that I felt bad. I didn't feel the way I normally felt when we were in love. But then she fell down a flight of stairs anyway. Decades later, grant you, what, 3 decades later, because that was 1990. And then 2022. So when she fell down that flight of stairs the day before the 3 depositions were starting for Don Sr., Don Jr., and Ivana to go over the information about fraudulent business dealings, the overinflation of the assets that Donnie did. The case that in the end he was charged with 34 felonies. So the day before that those 3 depositions were to start, Ivana falls down the flight of stairs. Police get there and say, oh, nothing, no signs of foul play, just fell down the flight of stairs. And then later it was like, oh no, she had a heart attack. And then she fell down the flight of stairs. But I think that the final word on her death certificate is that she died of blunt force trauma to the torso. So, not suspicious at all. Again, timing is everything. And then her remains are buried at Bedminster Golf Course without a tombstone, without a garden, without a bench. It's so ghoulish. It's so crazy. But back to where was I going with that? 2022, when that happened, it was also 2 weeks and 2 days after Ghislaine Maxwell's sentencing hearing. So Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years on July 28th of 2022 for her role in the little E trafficking ring. And then 2 weeks and 2 days later, Ivana passes away. And then 2 years goes by. Well, again, 1 year goes by. And on July 10th of 2023, Vermont has a flood. And then another year goes by. On July 10th of 2024, Vermont has another flood. And then 3 days later, July 13th of 2024, there was that situation with the ear in Pennsylvania at one of the campaign rally events of the Trumpster fire. So that was the day before the second anniversary of Ivana falling down the flight of stairs. And then here we are, July 20th of 2025, and 10 days ago, Vermont had its third flood 3 years in a row on July 10th. Again, it was Bannon who started that whole thing with flooding the zone. You know, he's like the master of the manipulation of media and trying to revamp your reputation when you've put yourself into the gutter. So, am I just spinning in circles? Is it just me? Are you with me? Oh my goodness. Who was it that Trump said this about? Was it little E? He was never a big factor in terms of life. This was a quote of his from just a few days ago on the tarmac. I just can't keep up. He was never a big factor in terms of life. Kind of reminds me of the hurricane in Puerto Rico was the wettest anybody had ever seen in terms of water. The man's brain is goo. Yeah, I think it was about little E, because then he also said, like, I don't understand why everybody's so interested in this case. It's pretty boring stuff. Who cares? It's like, well, you're making it more interesting by lying about it, you know? But really, what I want to say today, too, before I get to the point of wrapping up, is how terrorizing it is for somebody to be assaulted the way Ivana was assaulted, the way Maria Farmer was assaulted, the way Ghislaine Maxwell was assaulted, the way so many of these victims were assaulted routinely. It's absolutely terrorizing. And then imagine if you're one of these victims. Now this guy, who's our dear leader, is on the world stage saying none of this ever happened. Nothing to see over here, folks. So terrorizing. Like, to me, these people are terrorists. Barr, Bannon, Donnie, E, Caroline with a K, Bondi, Noam, they're all terrorists as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely terrorizing. And then to have something happen like the flood in Kerrville, Texas on the 4th of July, and to have all the problems and the delays and the fatalities, and then to have these same people say everything was done perfectly, it was magnificent, and we're lucky it wasn't worse. To me, that's a threat. That's a flat out threat. Is just unfathomable. So we've all probably seen and heard the interview of one of Crumpster Fire's victims on the Today Show with Savannah Guthrie. I think the interview was in 2016. The woman, is it Katie Johnson? I think might be her name. I'll check that out. I'll put a link in the description. She says that she was AR'd by Trumpster Fire when she was 13. I think maybe 14. Anyway, like I said, I'll put a link in the description. And then, to be told that the whole thing is a hoax, like, okay, that's one of his tells. When he says hoax, he's lying. And I just have to apologize for the crazy lighting. It's like I'm all spooky. If I turn, does that help? If I turn like that? I don't know. I don't know what to do. I might just have to start over with my lighting situation. Okay. Where was I? Oh my gosh, I still have 3 pages of notes. No, I still have 5 pages of notes. No, I still have 7 pages of notes. You got to be kidding me. This is going to be a 40-hour live, you guys. I still have that many pages of notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I really thought I just had a couple more. I have 8 pages of notes left. I guess I'll save them for tomorrow because we're already at about an hour and a half. How can that be? OMG. And I wanted to talk about Kylie Rodney too, darn it. We're coming up on the anniversary in 2 weeks and 3 days, the anniversary of when she went missing. I had so many bots coming after me when I started my channel. And, I started my channel for the Kylie Rodney case. And they were all just like ganging up on me and bullying me. And I knew that it was just, the mean streets of YouTube. I didn't know that they were bots. Why would YouTube have sent bots out to my channel for interference when I was making videos about Kylie Rodney? Makes you wonder. These MFs don't realize that they're giving themselves away with their BS. Yeah, YouTube, I'm talking to you. Y'all want to turn my channel off? Go ahead, because freedom of speech, man. So yeah, so many pages of notes. What else do I want to say about like Hegseth? And he's expecting another baby with his dear wifey, Jen, I think is her name. So they had a baby 2 years prior to Epstein getting Epsteined, and then they were both married. They both had 3 young kids with their current spouses. They made a baby together. Oh, she was his boss at work at Fox News. Did I forget that part? So cute, so sweet. And then they got married at a Trumpster Fire golf course in New Jersey, not Bedminster where Ivana's remains are, a different one. They got married 9 days after Epstein got Epsteined. And they're expecting another baby. Isn't that so sweet? So then they'll have 8. I wonder if 8 will be enough. Unbelievable. And yeah, I think I'll just wind it down because there's so much in this video already. It's 90 minutes long, and I don't like to go on for too long because it's hard for me to review them to make sure I get all of my links in there. And I do find it essential for me to review my videos so that I remember the links that I promise you guys. So let me just say this as I'm wrapping up about You guys remember the interview, and I'll put a link in the description. I think MeidasTouch did a video about it today. The interview that Trumpster Fire had with his daughter Ivanka. And I can't remember if it was Barbara Walters who was interviewing them. No. It was Wendy Williams, I believe. Wendy Williams was interviewing them. I almost want to say Gayle King, but I think it was Wendy Williams. And she asked them what they had in common. Like, what would you say is the thing you guys share in common the most? And Ivanka, did I say Ivana? I meant his daughter, Ivanka, quickly answered, I would say real estate or golf. And he laughed and he said, that's funny. I was going to say sex. I'm speechless. I'm just speechless. I'm going to wrap up with that and say peace out, love and light. I hope I still have a channel. I hope I'm still on. And I hope you have a really good rest of your day. Eat your protein and your veggies and drink your water, get your exercise and fresh air and sunshine. And hopefully see you tomorrow with better lighting and a better brain and everything. Love and light. Thanks for watching.